up, and then they're organized by which member of the house owned them. So it starts over here with Jacob Yoder, and it goes all the way around until we get to Mary Jane and Joe. So Vicki, why don't you take them through the different parts of the library here?
Well, as Sean mentioned, I thought I was going to lose weight and get in shape because when I came from the third floor and hauled all these books down, I didn't lose a pound. And but anyway, it was what we did is brought the books down and then cleaned them. I was really disappointed. So whenever I went upstairs, there were a lot of silverfish and so forth. So I went to several different bug places and I said, what can I do to get rid of silverfish because I'm really worried about these books. And as we were sitting out in the yard, the advice I got was, you're not going to like the answer I'm giving you. You need to take them out there in your yard and the lawn, and you just need to burn them. And I said, well, that's not an option. So what we did a whole bunch of research, and we found out you can kind of deal with silverfish if you put them in plastic tubs and put a lid on them, and let them sit over the winter. And it seems to have gotten rid of them. And
well, the other thing is you have to heat them up. So we put them in a really hot car and left them inside the tub. And we have never seen a silverfish since.
Yes.
So you don't need to burn your books.
So then we went through each book and with a soft brush and cleaned each book. And then, and with doing that, we also sorted the books because it was so interesting because folks that in the house, most of the books, they had put their name in the book. So they either had a book plate for like Colonel John Mason Brown, or it had, Eliza Poignant or whatever, Yoder Poignant. So it was really fascinating, and you really kind of got to know. I feel like I got to know the family because you saw what they read, you saw what was important to them. And so I then went through, and we have now sorted them to the oldest. And Mary Jane is the youngest, and she's down here at the end. These are Mary Jane's books, and so it goes all the way around in a chronological order from Jacob and Mary Mossman, then to Eliza, the eldest daughter, then over to, we've got a number of books from Mary, we have some from Margaretta, we have Brutus Clay, Robert Whitfield, who became the governor of Louisiana. It's a real interesting amalgam of folks, and I think one of the things that also taught me when doing this is how many tentacles this family had to very early important folks that were part of Kentucky. They were, it was almost like just tentacles that, they, like, for instance, what we now think the reason that the Blue Wing steamboat pieces are here is because Knox Brown Sr. married Adeline Crittenden Watson. Mr. Watson in Frankfurt was the major investor in the Blue Wing steamboat. And so when they came here, when Knox Brown Sr.'s wife came here, we think that's why the pieces that are the lamps are from the Blue Wing, and then there are pieces of furniture that came from the Blue Wing, and there's also pieces of furniture that were at Liberty Hall.
They had oil on the Blue Wing. Knox turned it into electric.
And so under here, we also found upstairs. It's so interesting. These were designed so you would cover up the books. But these are Harper's Weeklies, Harper's Monthlies. They go back to the early 1800s. Some of these are. There was no Mason around. I mean, these people were very, very learned. I mean, I'm just like. We've got Scientific America that were like in 1903. It was, and every one of these are just full of wonderful, newspapers and so forth that came from the early 1800s. And all they had on there was like Jacob Yoder or Jacob Yoder Taylorsville. And then for somewhere or another, from London. There were newspapers from London, And these folks were reading in Latin and Greek and French. I thought David Fleming was French, but they were reading in languages that it's just amazing. Very, very well learned. And so I have a real respect for them. It's just wonderful. Out here in the middle of nowhere.